is Chiedozie Obeze. I'm an architect by profession from Umudiokaneni, the son of Eyisi Ebulou II, and the founder of Eyisi Ebulou Foundation. The foundation started in 2015 when after my dad took the Eyisi Ebulou II title in Neni. We decided to start up a foundation where the proceeds we got from well-wishers will be used for the promotion of cultural and our traditional heritage.
I'm Professor Paul Basu from SOAS University of London. I'm an anthropologist, and we're working with the Eyisi Ebulou Foundation here in Neni to make a film celebrating the Ichi scarification tradition.
My name is Dr. George Abu. I'm the postdoctoral researcher working with Professor Paul Basu on the Re-entanglement project. I originally teach at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Department of Fine and Applied Arts. But in 2018, I got the position to work with Professor Basu, but posted to the University of Cambridge at the Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology, because this project is a collaboration between a number of institutions: University of London, University of Cambridge, British Library, and so on.
My name is Glory Chika Kanu. I'm a research assistant to Dr. George Abu in this Re-entanglement project. And I got involved in this filmmaking as a welfare officer. So I got interested in being involved because of my experiences in the field work. So, and I decided to be part of the filmmaking.
My name is Chris Allen. I'm an audiovisual artist from London, England, and a filmmaker and creative producer. And I'm collaborating with anthropologist Paul Basu from SOAS on his AHRC-funded project Re-entanglement. And we are here in Neni, Nigeria.
There was an anthropologist called N.W. Thomas, who was sent to Nigeria by the British colonial government in London in 1909, and he was to conduct anthropological surveys in Nigeria between 1909 and 1913. And later he went to Sierra Leone, and his project ended in 1915. So when he came to Nigeria, he traveled from community to community in what we know today as Edo State, Anambra State, and Delta State. But he visited other communities in some other states, like Enugu, Abia, Rivers, and so on. So in his journeys, he produced up to 7,500 photographs. He made hundreds of audio recordings and collected thousands of artifacts, made a good number of botanical specimens, and all of these materials were housed in museums and archives in the UK. So after 100 years, Professor Paul Basu picked interest in them and began to ask, what do we do with these materials? Because they have been hidden away from the public since then. So what do we do with them now?
Sometime in 2018, the foundation sponsored Igbu Ichi reenactment at the British Council in 2018. Along the line, I think through Chijioke Onora, the head of the department of Fine Arts in the University of Nigeria and Nsukka, who happens to be from a neighboring town, Adazi. We got introduced to George Abo, a doctor in the university. And from there, I met Paul Basu, a professor of archaeology, that was handling a project called Re-entanglement project, where pictures that were taken 1910 to 1914 thereabout were being that were archived at the museum in Cambridge, were being re-entangled and discussed. So along the line, the second visit of N.W. Thomas to Nigeria, he came to Neni, and lo and behold, there was a picture of my great-grandfather, and that's how the discussion started, and the Eyisi Ebulou Foundation decided to throw more light on it and get into this film to document those pictures and to document our culture as a people, which the most important of it is the Igbu Ichi's scarification mark.
When I was at the Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology in the University of Cambridge, working in the first phase of the project, which was collections-based research, the target was to get acquainted with the materials. So as I was working there, I had the opportunity to go through the thousands of photographs that Thomas produced in Nigeria. And by that time, Professor Basu and other institutions, the institutions that have been working with him, had digitized the photographs. They already had numbers on the database of the museum. As I went through, or let's say we, because I was not alone there. I was working with Paul Basu, I was working with Katrina Drain, and Chris Wingfield, and a number of others. So we saw these portraits of men with marks on their faces, and these photographs shocked all of us. Although these photographs were taken in Nigeria, my own country, but I never saw anything like that before. But I know that in different parts of Nigeria, there are people who have scarifications on their faces. But that time, I had never seen that style of scarification. So we watched these photographs with utmost curiosity, so wondering what they were. And we learned that they are called Ichi marks. I feel uneasy to say this because this is my heritage and I didn't know anything about it until that time. It's very unfortunate. Sometimes I feel somehow ashamed of myself, how less of history I know about my people.
Okay. So for me, this project and this work and making these films and being involved in this has been super important. I feel like history and cultural heritage is something that we value greatly in the UK, and there's a lot of institutions and there's a lot of support and things are collected, and in other parts of the world that hasn't happened as much in the past. So I think that's why these images have great meaning, and bringing them back here and seeing people's reactions to them and making them relevant in today, you know, and trying to really kind of engage with younger audiences and make them understand how important their history is really vitally important.
Making this film has been important, I mean, both from the Re-entanglements project point of view, because we can really get an insight into a particular community with its particular tradition. So Umudioka here in Neni and its Ichi scarification tradition. But I think it's also important from the foundation's point of view and for the heritage of Neni. The Ichi scarification is celebrated, of course, as cultural heritage, but literally the last few men in the region that actually have Ichi markings are still with us, just about, and particularly here in Neni, Odidika Chidulwe is a very old man now. He's the last man in Neni to have Ichi scarification marks. And it's so important to be able to record his experiences of you know, having this and being part of that living tradition, particularly now that it's a kind of revival, but very much a symbolic one. So the actual marking is not done, of course, anymore. But the last few men in this area that actually experienced this are still with us. So we're going to be interviewing him. We're interviewing others in Nanka, in Igbu Ichi, the last few men that have this. So I think it's a really important time. You know, it's another year or two, and sadly, I'm sure some of those men will no longer be with us. So vitally important to do it right now and to have this here for posterity.
This film is very important for us as a foundation and as a people. We believe that this is going to be a actually, we are laying the foundation stone. We think that this is not the end. We think that this is the beginning to expose Neni as a town, to expose our culture, and to also give us the foundation to start re-engaging people, putting back the culture of Igbu Ichi into the right perspective. In the past, before you take another title or any title as such in Igbo land, you must have this. You must go through the process of Igbu Ichi. Now, when the actual Igbu Ichi marks left us, we stopped doing it. The culture around it also died, which shouldn't have been the case. So we are trying to bring back that practice where and bring it to the consciousness of every other person in Igbo land that Igbu Ichi is a cultural thing. It's not just about the mark. It reflects a lifestyle. And we must imbibe that and put it back within the context of the Igbo tradition and get it back to where it's supposed to be. So we believe with this film we're making is a foundation to start achieving that. And we know it's a long process. It's a process that will take many years to achieve. And we are ready to go all the way and expose our people, our culture to the world and have an acceptance from the general Igbo people, as it were, to bring back that particular culture.
What we've been doing is to go to the communities where these materials were produced and return them to the people, because they belong here, they don't belong in the UK. So we return them and interview them so that we get a sense of how they feel about these materials, especially because they were collected in very difficult historical contexts. Yes, they were collected in the context of colonialism. And we're asking, what do these materials mean now that colonialism has come to an end?
We left London and then we had a massive long delay getting here to Lagos. We were held up for about 12 hours and then we had to get another flight and another and a car journey. So we had literally no sleep when we arrived, and we went straight into filming, and we were received by the king of this area of Neni, and it was just the most amazingly moving day for me. The kind of receiving the coconut and like meeting all of these elders. And I think one moment for me that was very moving, it was like literally as we arrived, we took this very big picture from the back of the car that was that's going into an exhibition. That it's a picture of this early colonial anthropologist, Northcote Thomas, and he's meeting a group of, you know, it's a picture called The Land Dispute, and he's there observing or kind of figuring out how people resolve conflicts and questions. But it's this incredible photo of all these people meeting together, and we brought it out and we placed it on the floor, and then all these people came out and everyone was crowding around it, and it was just this amazing moment of looking back through time and how a photograph can capture something, and how it reaches to us now and how it brings people back together. And I think this, for me, is the real beauty and amazingly powerful aspect of this project, is these photographs have this energy, this affordance to them that is now being unlocked and coming back to this part of Africa. And I think that's a very optimistic and positive thing that's coming from this work. And it's not simple, it's a complex and entangled history of two people and two cultures. But as a white British person in Africa, I feel very moved emotionally to be here and to be part of it.
The Eyisi Ebulou Foundation before now has been involved with a lot of charity work. So we are enshrined in the community as it is. The head of the foundation, who happens to be my father, Eyisi Ebulou II, is well known in the town. So we are received very well because the filmmaker or the group coming in to do the work came in through the foundation that is already known in the community. So the acceptance level was high, apart from the fact that people were initially believing that probably we received funds from outside or from government or from even the white man himself. But they came to realize, and also hearing from the people, that the foundation actually paid for this. And they felt it was noble for us to actually pay for something that would benefit the whole town as a whole, not for us as an individual. So wherever we have been to in this whole process, it's been a very big, they are overjoyed. And when they see pictures from 1910 of their great-grandfather, their grandfathers, they are very happy.
It's hard to pick one kind of experience in our time here filming in Neni that really stands out. I mean, to meet the direct descendants of the people photographed by the anthropologist Northcote Thomas 110 years ago here has of course been very, very important and very moving. But I think for me the most significant moment was probably when we were visiting the Mbemena compound, and we were allowed to experience the kind of rituals around the ancestral shrine there. That's, I think, a very unusual thing, and we were very privileged to be able to experience that. A very moving experience it was. So I think that has to be the most powerful experience that I can say now.
Every day has been really busy. We've done a lot of filming, a lot of interviews. We've been learning a lot about the history of Neni, its people. This film is specifically exploring this local tradition of scarification, of kind of Ichi marks, which appear in a lot of the photography from Thomas's collection. We've kind of been to the Unduka Community Centre, and they've done a reenactment of this process of scarification, and that was really, really amazing. I mean, all the community came out. We did this shoot, and then there was this masquerade and dance and music. And for me, that was really beautiful. I really enjoyed that. I love music. I've grown up in London, so I sort of feel like I've had right from always been sort of influenced by black music. So for me, it's really nice to hear the music and to get involved and to be part of that. And just the children and the faces and the people and how friendly everyone's been. I think that they're the things that will really stay with me, you know.
Challenges. Well, you know, we've been so embraced by the community and our local kind of partners in this that it's actually been very easy, I'd say. Access to everyone, visiting, it's all, you know, we've been so welcomed. Of course, I'm linguistically challenged. I don't speak any Igbo, so that would be one key thing. We're having to kind of work across English and Igbo. And of course, many of the concepts that we're, and the heritage that we're engaging with, it's a part of an Igbo worldview, so to not have the language is, you know, a problem. So that's one issue. And it's always, you know, as an anthropologist, when you're documenting something, interviewing people, you're not worrying about editing this together for a film. So there's a tension sometimes when you're making a film. You're after very short little bits that you can clip in together. You don't allow an interview to go on for hours on end. So it's very difficult for me personally, as an anthropologist, who would normally just let people talk and talk until they've said what they want to say in their own way. But to try and you know, get people to answer questions quite precisely, succinctly, that's sometimes difficult. But that's really not a big issue. We'll create a film to bring in all of these different elements.
It's been a bit challenging in terms of, like, the first day I think was the hardest for me because of just not having any sleep and having to go straight into doing quite a lot of filming without really quite knowing what was going to happen. And I think sometimes, yeah, we had to just jump in and start filming and recording, and you're kind of dealing with people speaking in a different language. You're dealing with the kind of etiquette and the customs, and things go at a slightly different pace. But it was fine, you know. I think we made it through that. The only other kind of thing that's been a little bit kind of scary is when I've been backing up my data and the power goes off, and like worrying about losing things. But so far, it's been fine. So it's all good.
This process of making this film has been very challenging. The biggest challenge is funding. We had to fund this ourselves, and at the end of the day, I became a location director, a producer, a filmmaker, everything you can think of. I mean, I got involved personally, not just being a part of the foundation that financed it, but also got involved with location planning and everything around it. So, but it's been very rewarding also, and a learning process. I've learned quite a lot, and the diligent process it takes to make a film. Paul Basu, the prof that is directing this, co-directing it with Chris Allen. They've been wonderful. He had, I think, in the earlier years, he had a degree in filmmaking, so which has helped this process with the background he has now as an archaeologist. So, and I think we also have an advantage with the kind of equipment that they came along with, which are not too expensive, but quality in sound, quality in the video. But we landed in Neni by 8, and within an hour of arriving here, we started and we worked 24 hours, heavy days. We had a challenge knowing that it's only weekend that we'll have most of the people around. So we packed most things Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we felt it was too heavy. It was too heavy, but we overcame that challenge and had all the process. So far, it's been good, and I hope we will have a very good film at the end of the day.
One key challenge that I've noticed is that the possibilities of working with these materials in Neni are so big that you cannot exhaust them. You interview one person and many other issues arise, and if you want to pursue them, then you'll be here forever. I think it's a challenge to be able to bring together all of these to a succinct idea. It's difficult, but thank goodness we've been able to manage that. Professor Basu and Chris Allen are good at their work. They are able to say, yes, we know that, but let's not go beyond this. Let's keep it this way, and let's go straight to discuss this. And it has been working. So they have managed to curtail the narrations, the long stories that our interviewees tell.
So let me start my experience with my direct boss, Dr. George Agbo. It has not been easy because every week we're on the road. Every week we travel every week from Osoka to different communities in Anambra, Amansi, Nibo, Ebenebe, Agolo, and some other place like Neni too. And it has not been easy working with him because you must be up and doing. You must.
This team is made up of, I would say, Professor Paul Basu as a co-director, Chris Allen, a co-director from Surgeon Light Surgeons. Yes, both from the UK, Dr. Paul Abo from University of Nigeria, Glory, assisting George, and Femi, the Ebulou Foundation photographer that has been very dedicated, even on short notice, was able to make it to this. So on set, we have all been able to relate with each other, and for me, like I said, it's a learning process. I've learned quite a lot in all this process. I've brought suggestions and also interacted with Chris, with Paul, and the level of dedication and detailing that I saw in this process was very marvelous. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot, like I said, and we've had a very good relationship with each other. We've had areas where we have to argue about time, and always, I think, delays in setting up and all that. But I found out that this is totally different from what I used to know as an architect and a businessman. But I actually assimilated it, and I would like to do more, actually. It's fun.